Sweet Jesus, sweet Jesus, what a wonder you are. You are brighter than the morning star. You are.
Hi, my name is Mbanga, Zimbabwean by birth, and I do men's ministry here in Zimbabwe. And a little bit about my story. Grew up here, played rugby, played water polo for Zimbabwe at school level, and got a scholarship to university in Texas. Went across to the States, played rugby for our university, became captain in Texas through college, and then 3 weeks before my graduation, I had a drunken motorcycle accident, 1 o'clock in the morning. Spent the next 5 days in a coma, and then 5 months lying on my stomach. I'd lost the skin off 17% of my body, and then the next 9 months in a wheelchair. And during that time, the friends that I had, I'd become homecoming king a year earlier at the school, so I was surrounded by friends and party friends and rugby friends and all of that. And over the months that I spent in hospital, the crowds that used to come and visit every day just slowly dwindled and finally disappeared. And I was just broken in that time, just the loss of everything. I was told by the doctors that I'd be lucky to walk again, but certainly would never play sport again. That thing that gave me identity and meaning and purpose in life was just stripped away, and I couldn't see any reason for living. I never really contemplated killing myself. I didn't contemplate suicide, but I put myself in dangerous situations, kind of just hoping that something would go wrong. I went skydiving in a full leg cast. I went flying with my roommate, who was a pilot, or a trainee pilot, and I would go flying, and I'd dare him to stall and see if he could recover, and things like that, and kind of just ready for it to be over. And someone that I didn't know, I'd never met before, came and gave me a copy of Wild at Heart, left it beside my bed, and I looked at it, read the back cover, and it said Christian, and I said, "Are you kidding me? God, if God exists, I hate him. Why would I want to read a Christian book? Look at what he's done to me." And threw the book across the room. Eventually, out of boredom, I'd watched every movie that was ever made. I felt like I'd read every book that I was ever interested in. Because of the scars on my back, or the scabs at that stage on my back, I couldn't sleep. I was sleeping on my stomach. If I'd fall asleep, I'd move in my sleep, and the scabs would tear, and it would wake me up again. So I probably slept for about 45 minutes in every 24-hour period, and just was absolutely exhausted and completely depressed, and was ready for it all to be over. So finally, out of boredom, picked up this book, Wild at Heart, and started paging through it, and I just couldn't stop. As I started going, I just couldn't deny that it was true, and I knew in that moment that because it was true, something had to change. And I remember saying to myself, if this is available, I want it. So I went on the Wild at Heart boot camp, and I was still in Texas at the time. Went up to Colorado, went on the camp, and just had an encounter with Christ, and just knew that there was a life, an adventure to be lived. That if I had the courage to just take the first step, I knew my life would never be the same again. 3 months after being on the camp, returned to Zimbabwe, and put myself in the Lord's hands, and began this life that I've now been here in Zimbabwe for the last 8 years, and coming more and more alive every day. Married now with a 2-year-old, and my wife's pregnant again, so expecting our second. And life is just getting better and better. We're just in love with Christ and loving the adventure of being here in this funny old land where nothing really seems to make sense other than God has a purpose, and we are here for a purpose. So I feel privileged to be part of what God is doing here in Zimbabwe.
Man of God?
Amen.
Absolutely.
Heaven is my destination. Heaven is my home. Heaven is my home. I'm going to see my Lord.